Ah, Internet. Dearest of all my imaginary friends. Welcome back to Disco Elysium. Last time, we parked ourselves in front of the church, having done just about everything outside of it, and are looking into these people the rave kids are so spooked about. It's looking more and more like we won't find Ruby in there, but there is something suspicious going on. One of the kids drilled a padlock onto the door because another said she saw Crab Man. We should resolve this before things escalate. Brace yourself for some lore dumps, but we do get a good way into this quest. We report back to Morel, and at long last, we finally get our gun back. Right, let's do the Jamrock Shuffle. Sadly, no destruction of property for us today. Just boring old use key on door problem solving. Ah, nothing to be scared of. I'll bet this building doesn't even have a fake curse attached to it. Not a small work of art there. Someone didn't approve, though. The air feels different in here. Still feels like hallowed ground. Let's get our flashlight. It's getting dark. I say hallowed ground, but it looks like someone carved a naked woman out of this pillar. That actually seems unwise. I don't know if you want to weaken a support beam like that. Anybody home? What do we got here? Well, there's some kind of math or science stuff going on. There's the bowls of water. Yeah, wires are going right into it. Strange. Looks like all the equipment's up there. Yeah, tape recorder. It's got to be a science experiment, but for what? Let's take a look at this glass. Though I want to point out, it looks like it faces the outside. You've got light shining down and snow coming in from the hole, but then we had to come in through the door. We couldn't actually see that side of the building from the outside, and the exterior looked a lot smaller as well. My guess is they designed the interior of the church pretty early on. I could be wrong, though. Anyway, this is Her Innocence Dolores Day, a major figure in this world's version of Catholicism. Kim seems to be respectful, and she seems to have some effect on Harry as well. You'll note the description of apricot-colored light. He's associated the smell of apricots with his mysterious ex, and it's possible Dolores reminds him of her somehow. Kim knows about this place. It's almost as old as Revachol itself, built by some of the first people here. The place was uninhabited when they arrived, or so says Encyclopedia. It was originally one of 7, with the other 6 being either torn down over time or destroyed in the Revolution. Empathy picks up a pang of guilt. He knows more than he's telling us. So, a while back the place was raided by police. Shot to pieces, he says, although he doesn't say why. But apparently our precinct, 41, was involved. He's not positive, but that is what he heard. Perhaps we knew something about it or even participated. There's no way to really tell right now, so we'll let sleeping dogs lie. Anyway, 2 white checks here. We'll go for the easier one first. Visual calculus makes a reconstruction of the window, seeing the figure of the woman below and a leitmotif, a motto, below them both. There's no telling what actually broke the glass. Logic says it could have been from the raid, or just looters looking to smash something. The woman beneath Dolores is Irene the Navigator, a queen who she advised. Reichshoffel sounds German, something like ruler's apple. She's guarded by secret servicemen, terriers, and approached by worshippers. I'm not sure I actually see the motto. It says black letter. That might be those squiggles at the very bottom of the glass. Encyclopedia translates, after life, death. After death, life again. After the world, the pale. After the pale, the world again. The lieutenant knows this motto. It's about the discovery of this Isola, finding a new landmass on the other side of the pale. And it used to be the RCM's motto, way back when it was founded. It was changed a while back, mostly to avoid looking too subservient to the moral intern, and too feminine. Justice, union, prudence, and force. I suppose that would fit in law enforcement a bit better. Now for the harder check. Talk to me, Encyclopedia. 72 does not fail me this time. Been on a lucky streak lately. I feel like I'm due for rolling a snake eyes at some point. Anyway, Encyclopedia says Dolores Day is perhaps the most famous human being of all time. And Innocence is kind of like the Pope, and from a time where that level of spiritual leader also wielded immense political power. They're an elected official, but there have only been 6 throughout history. The reverential tone suggests a subconscious weight in Harry's mind. Note the words, "We are alone." Again, I suspect there's a mental bridge between her and his ex-wife. Day ruled over 3 centuries ago, and is considered the patron saint of interinsulary travel. She presided over, and is associated with, the discovery of this Isola. As mentioned, she advised Irene the Navigator, whose title suggests her own connection with exploring the world. Inland Empire sees Day as draped in ancient sadness, and for a change seems wary of digging too much, a sentiment the necktie shares. Politics makes for strange headfellows. Gender politics haven't been touched on too much in this game, but there's clear historical baggage here. How women of the court needed to prove an interesting challenge to a man, in everything from philosophy and science to games of chess. Even before she became Innocence, Day was an influential figure at court, a uniquely charismatic and perceptive philosopher. She convinced Irene the Navigator to sponsor voyages into the Pale in search of new land. When one finally succeeded, returning with news of this land, she was crowned Innocence. The resulting era bears her name, and the queen she once served now knelt to her. Supposedly, her lungs actually started glowing, attributed to being overcome with emotion, as shown here in the glass. So this is recent enough that her actions directly set the political landscape of today, but far enough back to have a sort of messianic mythos attached to her. Even before she was crowned Innocence, nations far and wide accepted her rule, or so the story goes. Note the extreme polarity here. Either she must have been beautiful, or I don't care, it doesn't hurt me. Encyclopedia is in love with her, and so is Harry, in a sense. The storybook beginning has the ending of a dark fable. 22 years into her term, one of her own bodyguards killed her, suspecting that Day was some interfering force in human development. He'd come to believe she was something other than human, and though he was supposedly insane, you can see his claims augment the motif of glowing lungs, feeding into that same myth. Indeed, her inhuman qualities are believed to be the product of mass hysteria, or religious beliefs in a feedback loop. While Inland Empire is the first to believe in all things supernatural, it's also a skill that examines the hidden world. And if the consensus view of Day is that of Pope Jesus I, Inland Empire thinks the truth is something else. When we ask about whether she was terrifying, we learn that there was a more sinister side to her. The Mesca state tried to break from her inocentric rule, and her campaign against them may have included war crimes, mandatory education, mass resettlement, even a so-called army of humanity to suppress dissent, which rhetoric sees as declaring their enemies inhuman. Her love of chess extended to war games as well, and she was otherwise considered something of a recluse. All this recasts the whole exploration effort in another light, and it's not hard to think of our own dark history with explorers and colonial powers. Another case where time passes differently from what is acknowledged by dialogue. It's actually been about 13 minutes. In any case, it's a beautiful piece, and there's a lot to learn from it. But unfortunately, none of it related to our business here. Let's keep looking. Ah, this must be what Noid talked about, another radio computer. And unlike the last one, someone left it on. EDC says he thinks it might be trapped or alarmed. I don't think we're in danger per se, though he's right that this doesn't look like our suspect's handiwork. Still, I am curious about what's going on here. Interfacing says it's a different model from the one we saw earlier, and Kim says it's similar to the one in his precinct. Putting in plain terms, Encyclopedia says this one is built for government work, as opposed to the civilian model earlier. It mentions better noise attenuation circuits. Keep that detail in mind. There's a filament cube already inside. Looks like a log for the last 2 months. Convenient. Well, let's fire it up, see what happens. Hey, you look familiar. Or sound familiar. Perception's got it. It's the same operator we spoke to back in the game company. And she thinks we're that same company, Fortress Accident. Probably forgot about us, that was days ago. She does confirm that the same company owns both machines, though obviously we have no idea what this one is doing here. Well, that is the log file on the machine, but we still don't know the password. No hacking the planet for us. Aw, come on, Yvonne. Why you gotta narc on a guy like that? I mean, I am literally a narc, but you and I, we go way back. Remember that last time I called? What is it with women turning me down for perfectly logical reasons? Oh well. We'll have to look around. Maybe whoever it is left a clue or a reminder somewhere. Ooh, money. And shoes, with an empathy bonus. Nice. Yeah, see, it's doing that pathfinding thing again. There wasn't actually anything blocking me. Another statue carving, that's perfectly normal. If this were about any other game, I'd expect those things to come alive and attack me or something. Not much over here. What's that hanging up, though? Both this and the shoes belong to a Mesca gangbanger. Is there anything else here? Gotta be something. Wait, what's this? Perception stops us to point out the noise. Or the lack of noise. Something's up with the acoustics here. If we find the right spot... As soon as Kim clips through us, that is. We're not imagining things. Logic says there's some kind of dead zone in this exact spot, where little noise can be made. Try as we might, we can barely make noise ourselves, let alone hear anything. Half-light's unsettled. Shit's getting weird here, and not in the way we're used to. Is it even the church doing this, or something else? Yeah, I'm feeling you there, partner. What could be causing this? Something in the way the roof is built? The way it channels sound? What's up there? Let's see what we can see. Movement. There's something up there, coming from the tower, headed our way. Think this might be our crabman. Sneaky son of a bitch. Heads up, Kim, we got company. Whoa. Yeah, that's our guy. Just hanging out in the rafters for some reason. Hi there. He's a little unsettling, but I don't think we'll be fighting a mutant crab warrior today. What's your deal, buddy?
I bet your alcohol use has made you into a scared little pussy, Holmes. But don't worry. Everything's gonna be alright. You've come to the right place.
Well, think we found our Mesca gangbanger. Not that I was looking for one.
Here you can receive the mother's love. And when you're ready, she will take your hand and lift you out of the despair at the bottom of the bottle.
This man is obviously a habitual narcotics user. Do we really need to question him?
Oh, we're all high on something, Kim. Some more than others. Literally so, in this case. Tempting as it is to pull a Will Smith, let's just go with the flow here.
Estás crudo, eh? I see deep inside you. Your body and spirit are suffering greatly from overindulgence. And you don't even know it. Not all of it. I was like you once. You don't know all the havoc el vino is wreaking on your mind and your spirit. Necesitas parar, homie.
You know, actually, since we're here, you may want to pay attention to what the ceiling climber is saying.
Oh, sure, now you want to listen to the crazy person. Yeah, not really here for a lecture, pal. Who even are you?
It don't matter who I am, way. I'm just bringing you that message of their mother's love. She don't want you to hang yourself on your own stubbornness. This is the Church of the Mother of Silence. You are welcome here.
Rhetoric can't make sense of this. Either this dude's really wasted, or he genuinely found religion at some point. Signs point to the latter. Regardless, he doesn't seem terribly threatening, though God only knows what's going on in his head. Still got a sense of humor, though. And Logic thinks he's the one that's been doing the sculpting. I mentioned that he doesn't seem to actually finish his sculptures. He says it's all for the mother. Is he talking about Dolores? He was in a gang, emphasis was, and it seems like those memories are starting to leave him. But unlike us, he seems to view that as a blessing. Authority tells us Kim isn't actually that interested so much as he is trying to get a handle on the situation. He's consistently rational and by the book, so dealing with someone like this leaves him at kind of a loss. In any case, Diego says he's left that life behind, and apparently a not small part of himself along with it. He's clearly religious, but I don't think he's talking in abstract terms. That silence bestowed by the mother must be referring to the anomaly we just experienced. He clarifies that he's not talking about Dolores Day, but someone else. Something he calls a she, but otherwise seems to defy description. A cavity in the dark, beyond sense. Whatever this thing is, it's done something to him, and he now reveres it. Rhetoric thinks he's substituted one drug for another, faith for chemicals. Now, a wise man once said that when you believe in things you don't understand, then you suffer. But something tells me he understands perfectly well. Besides, he's at least trying to move on with his life. If only we could. He doesn't quite remember how he found the place, though he might have worked on it in the past. A background in construction would explain why he's drawn to carving up the pillars. Reaction Speed thinks he might have been here for the police raid. The clothes, at least, are his. Thank God he didn't get rid of his pants. I hope he didn't, at least. I can't really tell. That would make this even weirder. He's quieter about the raid. It's possible his memories of that have faded as well, though he may well have been here for it. Anyway, I know this is a house of worship, Mr. Crabman, but how do you feel about a dance club here? Eh? Eh? And, surprisingly, he's okay with it. Seems to think music won't be able to reach him. Even says he might like the company. Empathy says he hasn't completely given up on the material world just yet. He doesn't seem to know where the woman is. If she left her computer on and the place has been locked up for a week, then she must not mind our friend here that much. Reaction Speed wants to ask about Ruby, but it's not looking like it. Might as well ask to be sure, though. Yeah, probably not her. Sounds like this woman is mostly absorbed in her work here. Hell, if it's someone from the game company, that's definitely not Ruby. Essentially, they're roommates that mind their own business, which, despite his climbing around shirtless, still makes him one of the nicer roommates in human history. Then again, he has overheard her speaking the computer password, and is willing to repeat it with minimal prodding, so... yeah, this is turning into a cautionary tale on apartment hunting. The rent might be cheap, but you might have to share the place with a crazy ex-gangbanger who'll tell your password to anyone who asks. I'm sure it was in the contract somewhere. Well, thanks, Diego. Be careful up there. I agree it's probably not relevant to our case, but we might as well find out what this lady is doing. There's something up with this zone of silence, though I didn't see any additional prompts about it. Anyway, let's hack the Gibson. I mean, really, most hacking is just convincing some doofus to give you a password or read a router address or something. Hi, Yvonne, it's me again. The guy definitely not trying to break into a privately owned server or anything. Booyah! Tequila Sunset is conquering cyberspace, with my awesome powers of asking nicely. Right, let's see what's on these logs. "4th February, 51. Our mystery woman arrives at the church, finds it boarded up, forces her way in, and starts looking for a way to run power out here. Yeah, she's been here for about 5 weeks or so. 6th February. Locals warned her about the place, mentioning narcotics. She's still looking for a power source. 7th February. Power issue resolved. Now she needs an antenna. A good one. 8th February. Got the antenna and helped setting it up. Talks about the others. A group disbanded, mostly drinking or begging. She mentions programmers, artists struggling to get by, and writers. The writers are fucked. She writes about a data loss, something that wiped out a disconnected backup. That seems to be what she's investigating. Kim spells it out. All these are her co-workers from the game business, Fortress accident. The loss was blamed on her. But why would she be out here when that happened downtown? 12th February. She gets groceries, notices the strike. She's all set up and the work starts tomorrow. Kim's interested now. Curiosity, my friend, is as dangerous as anything you'll find in a bottle. 25th February. Trying to recreate the data loss without success, but she's also discovered the anomaly here in the church. Calls it the Swallow. 28th February. She confirms the zone of silence, 3 meters wide. Stronger the higher you go. She thinks it may be related to the data loss. So she is studying the anomaly. What is this thing? March. The dance kids set up shop. Her mics are picking up the music. She actually factored it out due to repetition. This is when a cell came in, got scared, and left. She doesn't even mention Diego, didn't even notice him. March. A call from the repeater station. Oh hey, that's us. They let her know someone was using their old radio computer downtown. Oh, come on. You so wanted me to meddle with that thing. We gotta go to the tapes on the... Check past episodes, everyone. Look back to... Uh-oh. Oh, shit. He did it. Hi?
Breaking into my radio computer, I see.
I do apologize for the intrusion, madame. We are with the RCM, you see.
No one's hiding here. It's just me and my computer, and it has been this way for weeks. Now, please give me some room. I need 2 seconds to see that you haven't destroyed anything.
We should talk to her after she has rebooted the machine.
Well, at least she's not dropping in from the ceiling. I think we can put the flashlight away. We got off on the wrong foot. Let's try that again.
What is it? No, you just printed out my personal log and wasted some paper. Yes? Or no, not anymore. That project is dead.
There's sadness in the recognition.
I am Sona Luukanen Kilde, the former lead programmer of Fortress Accident and RSA radios. I have over 16 years of programming experience, and I'm proficient in both Vox and Orbis languages. If you're not here to hire me, I don't really know how can I help you.
Impressive resume. She doesn't really seem to mind that we're here. I mean, technically she's the one trespassing, but we were poking through her stuff. I guess so long as we didn't wreck anything. In any case, definitely no sign of Ruby. She knows Diego, at least, though as we suspected, she mostly pays him no mind. I mean, technically we're done here with respect to the investigation, but we did agree to sort this out for Andre. And besides, this anomaly is the first real, truly unexplained element we've seen in the game itself. I'm rather curious what's going on here. Volition can tell she's not just giving us the brush off, she's mostly trying to focus on her work. Yeah, I'll tell you right now, treat me like I was literally born 3 days ago. You know, exactly the kind of person you want to deal with when you're handling something technical. Considering the infrastructure in Martinez, or the lack of it, I'm sure putting all this together wasn't a small challenge. She knows her tech. Seems like it's people she struggles with. Empathy says she enjoyed talking shop. Maybe we can work something out here. I asked her about where she got the government model, but first, this jumped out at me while watching again. Look closely, there's something off about the perspective on the computer. It looks like the keyboard's only about a foot off the ground. She must be right in front of it, but she's not like hunched over to reach it or anything. Anyway, she says a standard model wasn't going to cut it for her research. Interfacing notes that even some police departments don't have a REM prefect. She had a connection in the coalition to get hers. Remember that thing I said to pay attention to earlier, Encyclopedia mentioning this model had better noise attenuation circuits? That ties into what she's trying to do here. And it is connected to the bowls of water, though she won't say exactly why. Just that we shouldn't so much as touch them. Endurance can tell she doesn't get much sleep. This has become her passion project now. A 2mm hole in the world. Logic does a record scratch. Interfacing explains. She's looking for a disruption in radio waves, which may be connected to the data loss, but is itself merely a symptom of something else. The way she describes this sounds just like what Diego was saying about his Mother of Silence. She's trying to measure something that not only doesn't exist, but can't be measured. Logic knows how, by measuring the space around it, how the world reacts to this nothingness. That's the purpose of the water bowls. Hydrotransducers help her pinpoint exactly where this sound-dampening field begins, at least in theory. Inland Empire wants to talk ghosts, which this is probably not unless this genre of story is about to shift wildly. Come on, a void just for sound is weird enough, don't you think? The hole is up there, somewhere, where Diego communes with it. Okay, so the swallow is a property of the hole. It's the zone in which the sound is dampened, or outright eliminated once you're higher up. She's convinced it's not just some weird property of the church. It's too close to the coordinates of her data loss. Kind of a silly question. Diego is very obviously a symptom and not a cause of this. The research boils down to trial and error, trying to measure the properties of this thing in 3D space by the impression it leaves. She seems to be missing something that might help. So of course, she's going to be super willing to let some kids set up a nightclub here. Yeah, this is off to a running start. For one, she's not a fan of the music. And for two, she's already sussed out their plan. Now, I can't seem to tell her I've talked her out of the speed lab. The game kind of ignores that I figured it out. Or maybe she just thinks they'll do it anyway. Regardless, we're gonna have to go back and tell them it's a no-go. Yeah, I know. Let the man-child deal with the kids. Right, that was productive. We'll be back once we sort this out. So, that was an adventure. We're no closer to Ruby, and we got a whole other pile of questions. There's gotta be some explanation for this thing. One problem at a time, though. We'll see if we can work something out. I mean, hell, the crab man's on board. I figured he'd be the bigger problem. Speaking of which, let's tell Estelle that we saw him.
Hello again.
One thing that does annoy me about the dialogue, you can see a line is grayed out, meaning you've tried it before, but within there can still be either lines you haven't tried yet or entirely new ones. Yeah, see, this is new. We can tell her we saw the guy, but there was no indication of that from the root menu. And we get experience for that, so it's worth doing. That can be an issue given the time passes in dialogue, though I'm starting to think it only passes with new dialogue. As for Estelle, she's willing to tell us more about her friends, and there's more to know about herself, but we'll need to get the club going first. Right, let's talk to the guys, see if we can come up with a solution here.
Hi again. So, how are things going?
Well, the good news is, no crab man. Or at least, there's no crab in the man. The bad news is, he's the least of your problems. Yeah, Savoir-Faire knows we couldn't evict him if we wanted to. Besides, he gave his blessing to the club. He's not gonna bother anybody, he's just a damn weirdo worshipping a crazy space thingy. That's kind of the bigger issue here. Did you guys know that parts of the church eat sound? I know Egghead mentioned it, but I think they didn't believe him. Of course, the main obstacle is Suna. She's given a hard no, and I don't think she's gonna budge unless physically forced to leave. And so we're clear. No, I'm not dragging out one squatter so another group can move in. We need a real solution here. His earlier plans notwithstanding, I do think we can trust Andre to keep his word. The question is, what could they offer so she'd let them move in? What could a woman conducting sonic experiments by herself want from a team of industrious youngsters with recording and broadcasting equipment, along with her own power and water supplies? We'll let the game spell out the obvious mutual solution eventually, but as long as I'm here, let's try and solve this puzzle with Egghead.
This is hardcore. Hardcore! Hardcore to the mega! Internally coherent. All core! Alright! Yeah!
I think we're getting somewhere.
Hardcore! Ah! Is it though? But is it? I mean, really?
Okay, normal voice actually sounds strange coming from him.
Under the radar, over the top.
Well, that was a bust. This ultimately takes a few tries. I'm gonna fast forward through these.
Heavyweight jam.
Just a second here.
Hardcore!
Thank God. Alright, now that he's making marginally more sense, let's see what he wants to talk about. I do like that they recognize they've been running the same track for the last month or so, and that's actually how Suna was able to predict and work around it. How much is the fish feels like a total non sequitur. I think I missed something here. Gonna use that though, that's a good conversation stopper. Anyway, Inland Empire shares his worry that their music just isn't that hardcore. More curiously, Egghead is religious. He mentions Dolores Day's glowing lungs to represent her love for the world. Didn't expect that from him. He's also got a bit of a communist streak in him, although Noid quickly explains he just picked it up from one of the other Elysium artists. Alright, Billy Idol, settle down. I get you now. I think I get you now. I don't know, for the effort, that didn't tell us much. Maybe it'll come up later once we've sorted all this out. Let's head back to the church and try working things out with Suna again. Because what veteran programmer turned scientist who views people as a distraction wouldn't want to be around a bunch of scene kids? I'll just roll out that old Hobocop charm and things will fall into place somehow. Suna, remember us from half an hour ago?
Yes, what is it?
Person having second thoughts about a nightclub says what? That'll do nicely. Right, if she just needs to finish her research, then let's prove we can help her do so. She's hitting a wall, and while she's reluctant to ask for help, she undoubtedly wants to get away from the rave kids. Yeah, here we go. Our detour to the Doom commercial area is looking more and more prescient. She wants us to head back there and fetch the off-site copy of her old company's data. Now there's a fly in the ointment, as she mentions it being stored in a certain ice bear fridge, you may recall. Reaction speed helps us out here. We did discover something important thanks to the fridge, but we didn't find anything in it. The note left behind is explained. Sulislaw is the project lead for Fortress Accident, and, in what she sees as an overzealous security measure, moved the off-site copy to the ice cream maker. Given the note mentioned Kuno, I suspect it was more about physical security than avoiding data loss. So we left the ice cream maker plugged in, but we'll also need a better tool to pop the lid. Empathy says she's got something that might work, but she's loath to part with it. True to form, Plaisance, the bookstore owner, won't let her in. She views Suna as part of the curse, and was downright superstitious about her old radio computer. We'll try and sort that quest out while we're there, hopefully figure out who's behind that shutter. I suspect it is not a witch, though we're starting to see weird time-space shenanigans, so who knows. As for the copy, it's a backup of the game they were working on, which her log mentioned was destroyed by the anomaly she's now studying. She plans to use whatever's left to figure out where exactly this thing is. Meanwhile, rhetoric encourages my pedantic side, debating the definition of an off-site copy with respect to the seller. What's weird is she insists this data loss would have affected the backup no matter where it was stored. It's a touchy subject for her, clearly. But whatever, we'll find this thing for her, no problem. Fortunately, she spares us a multi-tool, which should work better than the pry bar for getting that thing open. Not without regret, however. This is the thing Empathy said she didn't want to part with. Right, back to town we go. After one small detour. As you can see, all this put us past 10 p.m., which means it's finally time for our appointment with the pigs. Now, the old lady was supposed to meet us somewhere on the boardwalk, though she sounded unstable, so who knows exactly where that might be. We'll just start from this end and work our way down. Huh. Flashing lights. What's this about? What the hell? Who's this?
Put your hands where I can see them.
Oh, shit.
Show me your hands. This is the pigs. Show me your hands. Right now! Show me your hands right now!
You have got to be fucking kidding me.
Madame, please drop the firearm immediately.
Okay, this escalated quickly.
Failure to comply. Suspect is displaying aggression. Officer under duress! Officer under duress! I am the police! Don't move! Don't move! Hands on your head! Suspect is armed and dangerous! Suspect is on the loose! Suspect at large! Officer administers street justice at her own peril! That one extra lick with a baton or extra knee strike above what was actually required! Suspect is under control! Suspect is under control!
Be careful, detective. Don't do anything that might set her
A deranged woman is holding me up with my own gun, which I probably left loaded before I stole it. Looks bad is kind of underselling it a little. Right. I'm not comfortable with just 72%. We gotta be real careful here. She's bought into the delusion of being a police officer, and might be on drugs to boot. Suggestion thinks we can lean into this. Let's try pulling rank. That's it. Nice and easy. Let's talk about this. Composure sees the fever break, if only for a moment. She seems disoriented now. Do we keep pushing or ease up? Ah, fuck. Yeah, I blew it. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with this woman? Nah, that was my fault. Maybe. I don't know. God knows what she might be using, although I think there's a lot more going on. Like Kim says, her not taking drugs might actually be part of the problem here. This is kind of a dark mirror of a hostile encounter with the police. She's barely reacting to anything we're actually doing, and she seems committed to some warped fantasy. Encyclopedia recognizes the cop talk. It's barely coherent, she's just throwing out terms randomly. Inland Empire says it's loneliness, with probably an actual mental disorder on top. Let's try this again. Maybe we can still appeal to whatever's going on upstairs. Logic says that whatever she's imagining is pretty disconnected from reality. Kim tries to join in on the act, but she's not buying it. I try showing her my badge, but that just makes it even worse. She's literally hitting herself with a megaphone. Rhetoric says it's just words, random synapses going off, half-light senses she's ready to fire. The odds did get better to make a grab for it, and frankly we're running out of options here. Deep scratch marks on her cheeks. Self-inflicted, according to visual calculus. Yeah, not as fun on this side of the gun, is it? Kim's watching her like a hawk. The composure sees him relax a bit. He seems to notice something. Be that as it may, we've got to get that gun away from her. Here goes nothing. Alright, she's watching two targets. This won't be easy, but maybe we can close the gap when she's distracted and disarm her. Wait, VC has a better idea. A closer look in the light shows that all three barrels are empty. Maybe I didn't leave it loaded after all. Kim was thinking the same thing. We can't be 100% sure, but maybe we can call her bluff? Worth a try. Oh, Jesus, fuck! It is empty. Thank Christ. Did I leave it empty, or did Roy take the bullets out? I don't know. But it's taken all the wind out of our sails. Let's get this out of the way. Well, that's finally over and done with. Question is, what do we do with her now? Her problems are much deeper than just substance abuse. Did she get like this because her family stopped visiting? Or is it the other way around? Logic says that it's both. It was bad, then they stopped and it got worse. She's catatonic now. There's not much Kim hasn't seen, so I'll take his word for it. Dementia, he says, with only loneliness and cop shows on Channel 8 for company. All of the above, probably. Arresting her would just make it worse. Without the gun, she's really only a danger to herself, though she might try to get another one. This does feel like the kind of thing we should let Titus handle. We don't see eye to eye on much, but this woman needs help, And in Martinez, he's the closest thing we're going to find to it. Yeah, nothing else we can do for her. Interfacing suggests searching her. She does have a bunch of scavenged police gear on her. Sorry, miss. Just making sure. Aha, police cap. Christ, man. Give it a rest. We've already got that speed bottle, which we're very definitely not going to use. Today, at least. A lieutenant's cap, eh? Doesn't that beat all? Maybe. Probably. You know me. Right then. Let's take a look at our sidearm here. It's a nice looking piece. A 3-shot pepper box. Gonna see if there's a thought bubble for equipping it. As for the cap, it has that vintage French police look to it, and we haven't really needed authority. Yeah, thought so. Hand-eye coordination is used to this. Fits comfortably in our hand. It heals us just having it back, and it reminds us of a lifetime ago, hoping we'd never have to use it. Sorry I ever let you go, friend. Back into the holster for you. I did like that little use description. Equip this when times are most dire. We've got 2 shots for it, should it come to that. Fingers crossed that it won't. We're about done running around tonight, but I've got a couple more conversations to go, and I want to unplug the ice cream maker, get that started on thawing out. So, tonight's been a wild ride. We met a crab man, a programmer doing some science, got our gun back, and found a hole in the world. Now, some might say we've done just about everything except make progress on the murder case, but those people are fools! This is as much a role-playing game as an adventure game, and in role-playing you always fuck around with the irrelevant side stuff before progressing with the main plot. Doesn't matter if a giant meteor is threatening to pancake the entire world. If someone needs 20 bare asses for gear you're not even going to use, you will get those 20 bare asses. Besides, we've looked everywhere above ground, and Ruby's a no-show. She's got to be hidden somewhere, and I'm thinking once we're done with this quest, we'll either get a lead pointing to her, or the check at the Feld building will be a guaranteed win. Alright, back downtown. Let's hit that ice cream maker first. There you are. Had a feeling we'd be back to this at some point. Sadly, my foresight didn't extend to unplugging the thing, so we'll need to pull the plug and probably kill some time while it thaws. We'll try it first thing in the morning. That's the black cable there. Here we go. Let's see what the odds are now, out of curiosity. God damn, look at this thing. Fucking Buster Sword of multi-tools here. Just one arm carries it like a champ. How do you even use this thing? Yikes. We could bulk up and try to crack this, but we've only got 1 point to play with, and the only thing I've got for physical instrument is a shirt. Yeah, we'll head back to the whirling and just let it thaw. Besides, I know we'll need physical instrument for shouting up through the furnace, so we'll do all that in one go next time. Titus, how you boys feeling about overtime?
The Coppernado is back. What do you want?
Kim needles him right in the sore spot. It's his jurisdiction, isn't it? He seems to know her. As was hinted with her dialogue, she does have family, but they've basically left her here, and she's only gotten worse. Here's something we didn't know, though. Eugene mentions that Everard has a B team. Those must have been the guys tracking down our gun. Fortunately, he doesn't clearly remember what they found, and I sure as hell ain't gonna tell him. Martinez's finest, everyone. He calls her Auntie LaPlante, which makes me think she was known around the neighborhood while growing up. Her real name is Marianne. Yeah, seems like she kinda looked after the neighborhood kids, including Titus when he was one. She's always been eccentric, but her kids left her years ago, and it seems like they never looked back. Empathy thinks they were the ones holding her together. Hard to say where the cop fixation came from, other than what Kim hinted at. The choices here fit the various archetypes, but I think they're all a little stiffly written to do so. Regardless, we catch Todd off guard. He doesn't expect the cop to ever say sorry. He's always the most hostile to us specifically of the bunch, even if Glenn is more generally aggressive. Anyway, thanks, Titus. There's some words I never thought I'd say. Yeah, you're a real inspiration to the rest of us. Have a good night, gentlemen. Lastly, just gotta talk to Lena here.
Oh, sweetie, I don't even know how to thank you for finding my husband and helping him out. I hope we haven't been too much trouble for you.
Oh, it's fine. We were out there anyway. Aw, Lena, you didn't have to do that. Believe me, the experience, not to mention helping to pass the shivers check, is all the reward I need. I mean, I wouldn't say it's my style, a silver bird skull tie that has 8 eyes for some reason, but it's the thought that counts. Thank you, Lena. I've got a minute to ask her about seeing the phasmid, which seems to have started this whole adventure. Kim gets his notebook out. I'm convinced he just thumbs through that thing when he's bored. Or he just writes down his thoughts. Can't believe I'm still stuck in this job. At least this moron finally found his gun. I should have stuck with piano lessons like Mom wanted. Anyway, she saw this thing when she was 5.5, up at her grandmother's summer home. She was out playing and saw one of the reeds moving, unfolding, she says, looking at her. She managed to keep her cool, and even reached out to touch it. Eventually it wandered off, deeper into the reeds, and she lost track of it. Inland Empire can sense her reaction to it. Childlike wonder and disappointment. She couldn't convince anyone she'd actually seen the thing, and then she met Morel. They were dating, and she told the story, and it matched the other accounts of the phasmid. Suggestion can tell this is significant for them. Her story of the phasmid is directly tied to their marriage. You can tell how much this means to him just from the change in his demeanor. Out in the field he was calm and professional, but here he openly gushes about Lena and her story when given the chance. They make a cute couple. As a child, the phasmid seemed taller than her, though she can't be sure. VC's willing to entertain the possibility. As for Kim, he's polite but skeptical. Esprit de Corps says it's nothing more than a child's imagination. Empathy senses another reason she enjoys that memory, this one a little more bittersweet. Alright, just gotta tell him about the traps.
I couldn't possibly shower thanks on you as enthusiastically as my wife has, but I am grateful for your assistance, officer.
Fear not, friend. I go where my Hobocop powers are needed. Ask him about Gary taking the armor. He's actually right there, we just can't talk directly to him. Crypto-fascist or no, they're still friends. I'm not gonna hassle him further about it. I let him know about the empty trap. Sadly, no phasmid to be found, though at least something took an interest in the contents. Lena continues to be the optimist. Suggestion urges caution. I don't want to rain on their parade, but I do feel like we should at least acknowledge the incoming storm cloud. And by that I mean consider possible alternatives, perhaps more reasonable than a particularly crafty stick bug. Yeah, more and more, I'm feeling like this quest is mostly just a proxy for Lena and Morel's relationship. That said, it shouldn't be too hard to guess what happened. Again, the bonuses kind of give it away. Interfacing breaks it down for us. The trap looked like it was shaken, and a kid's hand could fit inside it. Logic suggests visiting our favorite ginger troublemaker. Honestly, buddy, your guess is as good as mine. Probably just bored. Kim is having all sorts of fun this episode. Fear not, partner. We'll get back to the murder mystery and tribunal before long. That'll be a lot more interesting, in the may you live in interesting times sense of the word. Logic warns us that Gary's on his way out, so if we missed the check before, this would be our last chance. Yeah, it looks like he's had his fill of mucking around in the dirt. He seems pretty sure it was one of the neighborhood kids, and with his apartment near the yard, I'm sure he's familiar with Kuno's antics himself. Anyway, we'll get to that tomorrow. Yeah, even though Gary should be close by, he's not highlighted, so I think since we've got the armor, we're officially done with him. Let's call it a night, Kim. I do like the piano version of the song. It has that alone in a lounge at last call feel to it. Have a good night, partner. Actually, before I wrap this up, I do want to check the mirror again. It's been long enough. We are going to try, emphasis try, to conquer the expression tonight. And that starts with dressing the part. It's a tough check, so we'll need everything that gives us electrochemistry. I think that's about it. God damn, the expression does not kid around. Maybe if we try this other check first. Just gonna change clothes a bit more. Nausea-inducing hell glasses. God, I love this game. Let's study our adversary. So the collapse of communism gave way to free market liberalism, a sort of end-of-history perspective which may sound familiar. We're kind of combining eras here, from the 20s and 30s to the much later fall of the Soviet Union, but it's all wrapped in the style of the 70s. The expression is a product of this era, and of one actor in particular, Guillaume Lemillion. As always, sorry if I mangle the pronunciation. Lemillion was a singer and superstar, and Harry just started copying the expression he always made. It is very much the look you'd give someone while clicking and doing finger pistols, which Harry most certainly did. Those days are long gone now. 2 decades gone, according to Encyclopedia. The world's moved on. And sadly, this doesn't help us much with our memory. It's quite possible that nothing will. The band Clausier mentioned just played the song we latched onto. And that gives us a thought about the guy. Interesting. Anyway, better odds now, but not by much. Let's gear ourselves up for this one. I'm loath to encourage electrochemistry, but desperate times call for desperate measures. We need to stop being uncool while we still can. 42, we can do this. Come on, baby! God damn it. No go, Chief. We're stuck together. Ah, well. I'll come back and try again. Maybe a drink or something next time. We almost had it. But I think that'll do it for tonight. Just gonna change back real quick. So, as I said earlier, I know we didn't make much plot progress tonight, but we're on what looks like the last big side quest, and that whole thing with the anomaly of the church has me really curious. So much of this game has been a pretty grounded police procedural that I sometimes forget it's not really on Earth, and can slip in some weirdness here and there. That'll be the big thing we tackle next episode. But until then, thanks for tuning in, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.